Welcome back, guys, to the part 2 of the holiday edition of Making Money with Smalls. So if you didn't get a chance to check out that first video, make sure to check that out. So in this video, I'm going to be covering some more items that I have found throughout the research that I have done on what is hot this year as far as holiday items. I'll be breaking down how these items are actually built and included as a quick video on how to build these two items. So this is actually one of the items on the list. In this video, I will be teaching you step by step on how to make both of these out of one fence picket. So this is another home run type of build. If you are a plans in the hand type of person and you would like to build these, I will put the link into the description to my Etsy shop. Make sure to check that out. And while you are there, check out our Patreon community. It is growing like crazy along with our brag board. So if you haven't checked out the brag board yet, I will make sure to put the instructions into the description as well. Let's go ahead and jump into this video because I have a lot to cover. And this next one is from one of my favorite places on earth, the old PB or the Pottery Barn. And I know I give them a hard time, but they are actually geniuses at what they do because they can get prices like this for this recycled Merry Christmas sign. And I'm going to show you something here a little bit later in the video that they're selling right now that's going to blow your mind. But I'm going to show you what I'm talking about how these evil geniuses' minds work. But it's actually pretty good stuff. You know, I make fun of them, but they're selling this stuff. So this sign, it's a piece of wood. Really, it's melamine. It's not even a piece of wood. It's melamine with a veneer on top. So you can either take a wider piece of wood and do this, or you can join together a few pieces of wood, pallet wood, whatever type of wood that you would like to make this sign. We had talked about stencils before, how cheap that you can pick them up on Amazon. So what they have done, this is actually not a stencil on top. It is actually carved into the wood. But let me tell you a super easy way to do this. Take your stencil and spray it onto your board. Just spray paint, that's fine. Take that off. Take a Dremel tool with a wood removal bit on that and just remove anything that you have stenciled. So you're actually removing the painted stencil that you just put on. You do not have to go very deep with this. Even a 1/16 of an inch will work for what we're about to do. So you just take off the surface, basically until the paint is gone. And then once that is gone, I want you to paint the whole board, whatever color that you would like. So white in this case. So you paint the whole board white and sand it back off. But because you have removed the material of your stencil, it is going to be below the surface. And whenever you sand this off, that will stay. And in any part of the board that is below the surface, it keeps the white tint. So you have your carved out stencil, and you also get that rustic look from the paint going down into any of the grain that is lower than the surface. So this is great. This is super easy to build. They're selling them for 89 bucks a piece. The pricing will be up to you, but these are going to be super simple to make with a super cool effect of the wording actually being recessed into the wood. And I was going to show you how to build this one, but that's a vine from Pottery Barn for 120 bucks. Not going to do it. I went out to the woods, got poison ivy. It's just not worth it. Let's go to the next one. So this next one would be a piece of pie to make as long as it's not pumpkin pie. So these little trees for a set of 3, they're wanting $35. But what would make these sell is the distressing. So it's really not the shape itself. You know, you can draw out your little tree or something like that, put it on a 2x4 and take a jigsaw and just cut that out. But before you start adding your paint, whenever you are sanding this, you need to rough the edges up. So this is not just flat edges. It actually looks like it has waves and dents into that. So to get that look when you're sanding, so ever so often make sure to hit the edges and it will give it that rough cut dented look. They're trying to make this look like it was cut out by hand, old school, with an actual hand saw. So that's all that they have done for the painting is they had put a base layer of white down, and then onto the trees they put a green and a red top coat on that. Once that is all dry, sand this down and you will get heavier and lighter with your sanding depending on how much of the base layer that you want to come out. Another distressing technique that would help you to get this look would be using Vaseline. So you put your base coat down, take a paintbrush, put some Vaseline in places that you do not want your top coat to stick to. So by using a cheap paintbrush, it will actually give it that brushed, distressed look. And then whenever you apply your top coat, the top coat will not stick to that Vaseline. So as this paint dries, let it dry completely, and then you can wipe the top, and anything that was over the Vaseline will wipe right off, exposing the base coat. And then you can take your sander and kind of blend that in. For a build that is this easy and this cheap to do, you can afford to play around with it a little bit. And the next one that we're going to talk about, you have already seen at the beginning of our video. It is the cheese board that is inspired by the old PB. And if you do not want to make your own, you can run by the PB and pick one up starting at $100 for a 14-inch cheese board. That is the cheapest one that they make, and they go all the way up to $170. And I actually like this concept so well, I decided to make my own and to teach you how to make it step by step. And this is what I came up with. This is my 14-inch version of what they would charge $100 for. And you could insert any type of wood that you would like. I chose just the cedar because I used a cedar fence picket. So in my area, the cedar pickets are twice as much as the pine, so it actually cost me $4 for this board. And the bonus is that out of that exact same picket that we use for this, you can get this one. This would be more like a wall plaque, whatever you would like to call it. You can hang it on the wall, you can set it up as a decoration, they could put it outside. You can paint or stain these things up however that you would like. The only thing that I did here, I put some painter's tape on here and then put a stain over the top of that. So I already know that they're wanting $100 for this little cheese board, but if just this plaque was on the same site or another site like that, I guarantee you that at minimal, they would be charging at least $100 for this. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do. I'm just trying to think outside of the box and show you the potential of a $4 board. Okay, so to start with, I've cut my fence picket down into 3 17-inch boards that are 5 inches wide. You'll have a 20-inch board left over, but hang on to that because we'll be using that later for some trim. Now just lay out a tree design to use as a stencil for your 3 boards. Place your cutout stencil onto your boards, make sure everything is squared up, and trace it out. To cut this out with a jigsaw, make sure you have a sharp tip blade, not a rounded blade, because we're going to be doing a plunge cut. Basically, you just start your cut at an angle and slowly rotate the saw down as you make your cut. It's actually really easy, and it will allow us to keep nice sharp edges for our wall plaque. Once all of your outlined parts have been cut, they're ready for a light sanding and to be glued up. I'll be using regular wood glue and just clamp these babies together until they're dry. So while they're drying, go ahead and take the leftover board that we talked about earlier and cut it into a 1-inch strip and 4 3/4-inch strips. Whoa, there's that creepy guy again. Anyway, now is the time to paint or stain both of your projects and get creative. Now let's finish out this plaque. Remember those strips I told you to cut? That is going to be used for the trim. And we're just going to 45 the edges, glue, and tack those down. And look, there's a peach tree. Okay, back to work. Okay, so for the remaining 1-inch strip that I had you to cut earlier, we are just going to find the location that we would like these strips on the boards, cut at 30-degree angles, trace those out onto the board, and then we're going to cut those sections out. Now all we need to do is glue these parts back together, clamp, and let dry. And it's as simple as that. 1 picket, 2 projects, and it'll actually make for a great combo. So get creative. It's as easy as that, guys. For the plunge cut, if you're not comfortable with that, make sure to watch some other videos on how to do plunge cuts, but you just walk the blade down until it sinks in. If you have not done that technique before, make sure to practice on a couple of scrap boards before you do it on this. And as far as selling these things, so the reason why that they have sold this as a cheese board is because that it is painted. So it's more like a charcuterie board. They're just calling it a cheese board because charcuterie boards have been beat to death and are going out. So that's all you need to do is once you get finished is put a hard wax onto the top of this, a food grade wax. You could market this as a cheese board. I would probably make a full set, make the 3 different sizes, and actually sell the full set for around $100. They're running $100 for the one, and I do not think that you're going to have any issues getting $100 out of a set of these. As far as the plaque, it would actually make awesome wall decor. You could put a little hanger on the back, or it would be perfect for putting on someone's entry door or above their entry door. 17 inches wide by 15 inches tall. If you took the time to actually paint it up a little bit, I would at least try to sell this for around $40 or $50. If you left it completely plain, maybe a little bit less. But regardless of what you decide to set your price point at, keep in mind you have $4 in both of these combined in wood material. You cannot beat that. This is a home run. Okay, so this next one, this 8-piece wooden plaque set. I'm not for sure exactly what a plaque set is, but I'm assuming that it's just a decoration that you just set around. It is $109. I'm going to assume that they're going to use some 2-inch material if they're planning on this stuff setting on its edge, so no big deal. So buy a 2x4, 2x6, square it up, cut the round sides off. So we're going to be using the same technique that we did for the sign with the stencils. You'll actually spray your stencil on, carve that out, spray whatever color that you would like to be into the indentation, in this case white, over the top of the whole thing. let that dry, and then sand it all off. And again, you do not have to go down very far with your Dremel tool. You do not have to remove much material. If you just go down far enough to remove your stencil, it will be below the surface of this wood, and when you're sanding, you will not remove the design. They try to make it look super complicated when it's actually super easy. So they're wanting 110 bucks for this set. I mean, come on guys, sell them for 30 or 40 bucks a set and go on. Easy money. So here's another quick one from the PB. It's just a decoration set around the house, and they've made this rustic sled. And they have intentionally made it super rustic. Everything on here is cut out with a jigsaw. It is 19.5 inches long. So they've used 2x4 material on the bottoms, and on the sides and top, that's all that they've used is some thinner material. So you can even freehand these parts out onto a fence picket. Let's say these bottom runners. You just draw it out at the 19 inches, curve it up, and then cut it out with a jigsaw. And if you look at this, you can actually tell where there's thicker and thinner parts of these rails. That is the look that they are going for. And then they just notched the 2x4s and set them on top of the runners and did the same thing with picket or pallet type material for the top. This would be a super easy build. They're selling them for 89 bucks. Once you would get one of these knocked out, you could probably make 10 in a few hours. And so this is the one that just kind of blew my mind. I'm not saying do this. You can do it if you want. So let me show you exactly what the OPB did, and it's charging 5 bucks a piece for this. For this one, we'll have to head outside. And that'll be 5 bucks, please. In all reality, they are selling these. So not only is it the only place on earth that can sell a stick, they can sell a pine cone on a shish kebab or a piece of wire, is what it is. But they're selling these things, or it wouldn't be on their site. I'm not telling you to make these, but I'm just proving a point that this place can literally sell anything. Pine cone on a stick. Well, that is it, guys. I hope that you were able to take a little something away from this video and look past some of my silliness, even with something like this. But even something like this actually has a meaning, or I wouldn't put it into the video. So yeah, I make fun of the Pottery Barn. I make fun of little things like this that are selling for 5 bucks. But the reason why I put this little joke in there is because someone thought outside of the box. So they had this creative idea that a lot of fake Christmas trees are pine trees. So instead of trying to make a fake pine cone to decorate these trees, they just went out and either picked up or bought what nature provides for next to nothing, literally. They drill a hole and put a shish kebab stick, or this is just a little piece of wire. And they shook it up a little bit by spraying a little bit of white fake snow or maybe some glitter or something like that, and made it to where people could put it into their Christmas trees or wreaths or whatever. So they took something that cost nothing in most areas, and with a little bit of creativity, made something that could be profitable. And that is the point of this channel. Yes, I like to have a little fun in the process of teaching things like this, but that is a lesson in itself. We are taking non-traditional items and making them into something. So something that is non-traditional, like a fence picket. And that is the basis of this channel, to think outside of the box to make money with woodworking. So take some of these ideas that I've given you today, shake it up a bit, put your own twist to it, like I did with this tree. I changed the colors, changed the shape of the tree a bit, and made it my own. And things like this is what I'm talking about. You do not have to make exactly what I've shown you here. Put your spin to it, put your twist to it, put your creativity to it, and it's almost like it's its own signature. So people will start to recognize your creative style, and they'll want that for future builds. So until next time, guys, go out there, find a pine cone, stick a shish kebab stick in the back. Now, do not do that. So until next time, guys, go out there and create something different. Make something new. Be divergent. Think outside of the box. Think like no other. It's in there. Just unleash it, and you will see that it will unlock your full potential as a woodworker. You've got this. See ya. I hope that you've learned something from this video. I've learned that it's actually pretty fun to play with a pine cone on a stick. I can't hardly get into the picture of this big thing. Little happy tree.